Now the pads on the front are actually held in by glue and tabs on the back of the dash. If you have the dash actually off of the car, you can actually go in the back and pop these tabs right here on the one side, and here and here, to make it a little bit easier to get the bumpers off. I'll actually release the tab on this side, so it should be pretty simple to take this bumper off. And there you go.
Get a pick, go underneath, and it's that easy.
To find out about this bump that's happening here on my dash, you can barely see it here, I'm gonna have to move the exhaust I guess duct system in order to see in behind there. So I'm gonna go and take off these screws here one by one so I can take them off. Alright, so I have some answers to what's happening with this bump. I can't seem to figure out what the solution will be. As you can see here, the support here has cracked and it's actually loose from the rest of the dash. So I'm not sure if it's pushing up because it's broken, because obviously it isn't supporting. But I also noticed that this side doesn't have a screw anymore. So it's not supported like this side is. And maybe because there is no support on this side's getting more stress, hence why there's the bump there, even with the broken piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fortify the support here, and I'll probably add a screw in here just to give it a little bit of support so that this support doesn't take all the load, and maybe that'll solve the problem. On the dash side, I'll probably just flatten it out with sandpaper, because I'm going to be putting I'm going to cover it all with leather anyways, so it probably won't matter whether I scratch up the surface as long as I make it nice and flat. And hope that will solve the problem. So last night I put a little bit of adhesive putty in the spots where it supports the bottom of the dash, and I'm hoping that that will help keep it from cracking and making bumps. And you can see I also put in a bolt on this side where it was missing before, so that it actually supports. We'll see how that goes. So I wanted to talk about stripping the paint off the top of my dash, and at first I started with the brake fluid, and it actually did a fairly good job. It took off the black part, but it left the white primer, it looked like, on it, and it was hard to take off. So I had bought this grease and wax remover from Duplicolor just to prep my vinyl right for painting, and I was applying to this, and it actually took off the white part of the primer quite readily on my dash, when originally I was just going to use it for my front pad. So if I were to do this over again, I think I might just buy the grease and wax remover from Duplicolor and just use that to remove the black as well as the white primer that's on top of the dash. Yeah, this Duplicolor really did it a good job. I should have used this in the first place. As you can see, I went to the places where I just left it black because I figured I didn't need to strip it out, and you can see how I just took that black right off. And even when I was scraping on the side, you could see the black was taken right off there. So yeah, I should have started with this stuff in the first place. So anyways, I'm going to suggest that you start with this. It's probably some known chemical like acetone or something like that. But as far as I know, this stuff works, so you go out and get it. It'll probably strip off that paint for you. Anyways. What a difference. I was impatient. At a certain point, I started seeing some bubbles happening, little bumps when I was putting the leather down. So instead of just continuing and living with maybe one of these small bumps, I decided to pull the leather back. And that just made it worse and worse, because then I started getting this crease, and then I tried to wash the rubber cement off the back of the leather, and it didn't work out so well. I even used a bit of chemicals, which really is a big time no-no, and so I got surface coming off here. And from a pretty much perfectly done dash, I have this imperfection right here, and it's right in front. And while I could probably stop and just let it go, I'm gonna redo this this dash again, because that's just gonna be a sore point for me. But lucky for me, when I bought this piece of leather, it was big enough that I actually have enough leather, as you can see, to cover 2 dashes. So I was lucky enough to get a big enough piece to cover it twice, and that's basically what I'm going to do.
First, clean the dash. For me, it involved removing all the remnants of my first attempt at the leather. Here's where my cleaning agent came in handy again. Position the leather on the dash. Make sure it lays down flat. Any bumps or imperfection might mean something's trapped underneath, and that would need to be cleared out. There are different ways of gluing the leather down. For me, I worked on half the dash at a time. Starting in the middle, I lifted the leather and exposed half the dash. Each section would involve applying a strip of contact cement on the leather and another strip of cement on the dash. Notice that I've cut off the plastic guards that ran across the defrost opening. That's because I'm planning to wrap the leather around these openings. After applying, wait for both strips to dry to a touch. When dry, press this section of the leather onto the cemented part of the dash. Be patient here. Do this slowly and carefully. You only get one shot at this. Now repeat this over and over again until you finish getting to the side of the dash. Alright, let's do the other half. I found it easier to roll the leather now that one half of the dash has been glued down. It helps as it was a bit more trickier gluing around the gauge hood opening.
got around to finally doing the details of the dash. I cut open a hole here. I cut open holes for the defrost. I wrap the leather around the edge. Around here I'm leaving it. Figure that once the gauge goes on top, this won't matter. Same thing here on the side. Another hole. On the side, I folded it over. Just went straight across. I didn't think I needed to do leather all the way down to here. Folded the leather around the edges here. And if you look underneath, you can see I wrapped the leather around the defrost and glued it on the bottom here. Now I'm not going to leave these completely open. Obviously I don't want anything to fall into the defrost. So one of the things I had done was bought a wire basket from a dollar store and I cut it up. I also painted it because obviously this type of metal is pretty cheap, and if moisture gets on it, it'll probably rust. So I actually put a coat of Rust-Oleum on top, black, really quickly, just to give it a little extra protection. I had the paint left, and this would slide in here, and that's how it would look. So I don't think it would look too bad, actually. There's little spots here, such as here. You can see a bit of the open dash, and I'll probably just dab a little bit of black paint, and considering it's on the defrost, I'll barely see that. So that worked out okay. JB Weld. That's the best stuff. All I had to do was hold the grill down, put the JB Weld in place, and wait about 4-5 minutes, and it was already hard. So I basically held this part in place while I did the other sections.
The front crash pads were cleaned up and painted. I used color coat vinyl paint in Camo Color 15173. It matched well with the existing interior. The dash is finished, being refinished, and ready to be installed back in the car. I'll be showing you this in part 3. We'll see you there.